The 1960s were a decade of transformation. For students, entering college or moving into a hostel meant stepping into a new life of freedom, responsibility, and discovery. Imagine walking across a campus filled with vintage bicycles, typewriters, instead of laptops and payphones as the only way to call home. For young people, this was a world that balanced strict discipline with a hunger for independence. In those walls of brick dormitories, lifelong memories were created, stories of friendship, rebellion, love, and laughter that defined a generation. Today, let's take a trip back and explore what hostel and college life was like in the unforgettable 60s. Hostel rooms in the 60s were simple but full of character. 2 or 3 students often shared a small space, furnished with iron-framed beds, wooden desks, and shared wardrobes. Walls were decorated with posters of the Beatles, Elvis Presley, or Bob Dylan. Vinyl records stacked beside a turntable provided the soundtrack of student life. Instead of laptops and mobile chargers, you'd find notebooks, fountain pens, and a typewriter placed proudly on a desk. Radios were a prized possession, the only way to catch music charts or breaking news. At night, rooms came alive with whispered conversations, guitar strums, and the smell of late-night snacks cooked on hidden hot plates. A typical student day in the 60s was strict yet vibrant. Students carried piles of books under their arms, since backpacks weren't yet popular. Mornings were filled with lectures, professors writing notes on chalkboards, and classrooms buzzing with energy. The cafeteria was the social hub. Trays of food, endless coffee, and long conversations about music, politics, or the weekend dance. Libraries were quiet sanctuaries where students sat for hours flipping through heavy encyclopedias. Without the internet, research meant diving into dusty archives. Yet evenings often turned lively as dorm halls echoed with laughter, debates, and even impromptu jam sessions with a guitar. For many, hostel life was their first taste of independence, and friendships became the strongest support system. Students shared everything: food, records, and even letters from home. A borrowed sweater, a shared guitar, or a cup of coffee in the cafeteria often meant more than money. Long nights were spent telling stories, dreaming of the future, or debating the world's problems until sunrise. These bonds extended beyond college years. Many friendships built in those dorm rooms lasted a lifetime. In a decade where the youth believed they could change the world, these connections gave them the strength and courage to try. The 1960s were an era of love and defiance. On campuses, new ideas clashed with old traditions. Students grew their hair longer, wore colorful clothes, and spoke freely about equality and freedom. Love stories blossomed quietly in libraries, cafeterias, or on long walks around campus gardens. Letters were passed secretly, and a record playing a romantic ballad became the soundtrack of young hearts. But rebellion was never far. Many campuses were centers of protest, against wars, for civil rights, or for student freedom. In dorm rooms, whispers of activism grew louder, shaping a generation unafraid to challenge the rules. Music was the heartbeat of hostel life. From Elvis to the Beatles, Bob Dylan to Janis Joplin, students found comfort and inspiration in records spinning late at night. Radios blasted top 40 hits, while jukeboxes at nearby cafes gave students a chance to dance. Weekends often meant college dances or small concerts where local bands performed. Movies were also a big part of student culture. Black and white classics were screened in auditoriums, and many students lined up to watch new Hollywood releases. Entertainment wasn't just about fun. It shaped identity, fashion, and even the ideals of the 60s youth. College life in the 60s was about more than just fun. Students were part of a world in motion. Across America and Europe, universities became centers of discussion about civil rights, women's liberation, and anti-war movements. Students debated passionately, wrote articles for campus newspapers, and organized marches. In hostels, late-night talks often shifted from dreams of music and travel to visions of a fairer, freer society. Many future leaders, writers, and activists started their journey in those very dorm rooms. For students of the 60s, education wasn't just about degrees, it was about building a better tomorrow. Looking back, college and hostel life in the 1960s was more than lectures and exams. It was a unique moment in history when youth shaped culture, music, and politics. Dorm rooms were filled with laughter, cafeterias echoed with debates, and campuses witnessed both love stories and revolutions. For those who lived it, these memories remain golden. A time when friendship felt eternal, and the world seemed ready for change. For us today, revisiting these moments is like opening a time capsule, a reminder that youth has always been the heartbeat of every generation.